Hey, I'm Supats, lifelong solopreneur. Now living my life with only one passion to help solopreneurs to launch their digital products on fast track so that they can be profitable as fast as within 1 week, and they want to scale, they can join the membership. And as a bonus, I show them how they can sell their digital products all over the world using affiliates. Without further delay, let's get started. Welcome to New Beginning Inspiration for You podcast. And today's guest is so special. Actually, her name is Alara Sage. I think I'm
Correct.
pronouncing your name right? Okay. So I growing up, I always had this analogy, because you don't think about air because you're breathing it all the time and it is ample available all the time. So yeah, you take it for granted, and people are thinking more about money because the money is lacking, and they are thinking how to make more money because hey, money is an energy, means you are exchanging energy for whatever experiences or whatever stuff you want in your life. But how about if someone is here who is going to teach you? Both can be at the same level. Means you are not thinking about air because air is available all the time abundantly, so you are not thinking about air. But what about money also becomes like that? What about someone who is going to teach you the secrets how to create abundant wealth in your life, in your business? And wealth means not just material wealth, but wealth in every possible area. And today, yeah, Alara is going to tell us. And Alara, welcome to New Beginning Inspiration for You podcast, and stage is all yours. Please let us know how you got started into this journey, because these topics are so near and dear to my heart. It is so important, and many times these are totally overlooked because I work with lots of solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and they are just going for business strategy and they are missing out on this most important thing. How did you get started into this journey? So let us know about your
Absolutely.
journey.
My spiritual journey has been, like you said to me, Sue, before we started the recording, my spiritual journey has been a large part of my life. And in 2021, I had a six-figure business. It's the business that I have now. And I had all of my money stolen. And, it happened in this very strange way. And I had plenty of money. Before this happened, had my six-figure business. I was making plenty of money and I had money in the bank. And all of that was stolen from me. And there was this big wave of fear that hit me right off the bat. And in fact, I even collapsed on the floor, kind of trying to process everything that just happened when my bank account went from what it was to zero. But I had always had the capacity to create what I desired in my life. So I regained my composure. I took some really nice deep breaths in my body. I kind of released the fear and I said, you know what? I've got this. I will just simply recreate my money. It's just money. We can recreate it. And I went about doing that. And what happened was I didn't recreate my money. My six-figure business collapsed. And I had to really pause. I had to step back from myself. I had to breathe into my body. I had to look at what was really going on here. And the truth is that I had a dysfunctional relationship with money. I didn't actually have a loving, secure, safe relationship with money. Because I had had money, that didn't mean that I felt safe with money. I still felt anxiety around money. I avoided looking at my money. And this process brought that dysfunctional relationship straight into my awareness. And my higher self even said, "Why don't you ask money how you show up in that relationship?" And so I called in the entity, the energy of money, and I said, "Money, tell me, how do I show up in this relationship?" And money said, "You don't. You don't show up. You come to me when you want something. The rest of the time, you ignore me, you undervalue me, you don't appreciate me." Sue, there was a long list that money gave me of the things of how I was not showing up in the relationship. And, that was a pill to swallow. And simultaneously, it was very, very enlightening and powerful to recognize my dysfunctional space with money. So then I went about to really shifting my dysfunctional relationship with money. And I learned yoga back in 2003. I was taught yoga by a friend. It was just her and me. I didn't go to any studio. I didn't learn in a class. She taught it to me, and I took it and I practiced it every day. And every day I went into for about 2 hours of yoga, and I did breath work. I didn't know it was breath work. I was just breathing the way that she taught me, and I was breathing in and exhaling, being fully focused on my breath, and I would breathe in and my body would open up, and I would find all this extra spaciousness in my body. My muscles would extend, they would relax, they would soften, and I would be able to get into the asana, get into the postures much more powerfully. And I learned to let the breath guide me through the yoga. And so when this was all happening, my higher self said, "You've forgotten about the breath." Now, the breath is our fundamental resource. Wealth, being wealthy, is being well resourced. And just as you said earlier, Sue, because we breathe air, we forget, because it's always there, we forget that it's always there. But what if the breathing is actually one of the most powerful portals we have into our wealth? And this is what I learned. So I learned how to breathe into my nervous system, because our nervous system is what says, "You're not safe. You're not safe. You're not, there's a lack of security, there's a lack of love." And our nervous system puts us in these reactionary states of being where we are not grounded, we are not present, we're not in what's called heart coherence, where our mind and our heart, which has its own brain, by the way, it's called the heart brain, has its own neural network. Those two aren't working together. We're in a state of fight or flight, or we're in a state of fawn and freeze, where we're stuck, we're collapsed, we're scared. And the truth is, you can be actually highly functioning and quote unquote successful in either one of those states, but doesn't mean you're wealthy. So I learned to use my breath to shift my nervous system and recreate my relationship to wealth, and learn what really being well resourced meant from the inside, first and foremost, where it doesn't matter what's happening in the economic system. It doesn't matter if my business has a slow month or a high month. None of it matters, because I know how to source that wealth from within via my breath.
Never knew so much of relationship with breath and your achievements and results. For example, right now I'm part of one program. It is called Freedom from Diabetes, but I joined. I don't have diabetes, but I joined for weight loss. And my consultant always asks me, okay, I say, okay, this week was bad, I didn't get results. So she asked me how much pranayama I did, how much breathing I did. And I really didn't know it was so important. It was really, it was vital in getting results, because as a business owner, many of us we struggle to put time aside for our needs, and especially for the breathing and pranayama and yogasana and all, because we think, oh no, oh I don't have time for that. I can do lots of other things in my business, and I can create money or wealth that way instead of spending my time over there. But it will be like something like someone who keeps on chopping woods without sharpening his axe, right? So it's, and you talked about money stolen. I remember my purse was stolen from the gym locker room, from a ladies' locker room, and I didn't lose all the money, but still it was a few thousands of dollars. And even I was evaluating. I said, how could this happen to me? Because I was also exactly like you. I have been a totally spiritual person, and even though when this purse was getting stolen, I was doing something, but whatever gym activity I do, I always chant God's name. So I said, God, I was taking your name, and still you let it happen to me and all. And I think I should reflect back myself and ask the questions which you asked. Really, because I think I didn't complete that process. What the process you went through, I didn't complete that. And that's why when I went on your site, your quiz, your wealth recognition, that quiz, that really appealed me because that really exposes where we stand and what we need to do, where we need to work on. So I really, really appreciate that. And yeah, relationship with money. You mentioned about the self anxiety and dysfunctional, and so I had really yeah, dysfunctional relationship with money. Even though I have been spiritual, first of all because my parents were government servant, and they lived way below their means. And means like my dad's full salary went into bank, and my mom's 50% we use for the household, and 50% she donated. And in spite of that, means basically my family members, my relatives looked at them as a bank, and they wiped out all of their savings. And I really saw my parents working so hard for money, and they just let, and it's not like that my relatives were actually cheating them. Is my relatives would act like means basically they would just come and act like my parents being a bank, and they would just ask for money and my parents would give, means they knew. So, and still they would give. And it really created a very stingy kind of relationship with with me and my money, because I would never spend anything because I saw my parents working so hard and losing everything. And I just couldn't spend a single dime or single dollar on myself. And then I got into reading a lot, and I said, I read somewhere that if you're stingy, that means you are not loving yourself and you are not loving people around you. Because when you give money, it is like an exchange, and you are helping someone else to better their life. So I'm still working on overcoming all that stinginess in me. So, do you have any tips for that? Because, of course, I've looked at your site. I really am totally impressed with your offerings, and I will look into your offerings later on. But meanwhile, I just want to ask you, because there might be some people in my audience, they might be having the same situation or similar challenges. What can you
Really
tell them?
wonderful share, Sue, and great question. Again, it comes back to the nervous system. So, this is physiology. Yes, it is about love and loving yourself. And that's what I was speaking to with the heart coherence. But understanding that our nervous system is where it gets programmed through the experiences in our life, like you were sharing with your family and your relatives. And in our nervous system, those experiences are programmed in there to say, yeah, it's not safe. It's not safe to give money because people will come and take it and people will take advantage of you. Um, some people have the opposite. Some people have that it's not safe to make money, right? Because if you make money, you're greedy or you're self centered. Some people, it's the relationship between the breath. The inhalation is the receiving, the exhalation is the giving, and then we have the pause, which is really the holding the wealth, the holding the power. And all of that is in our nervous system. So, first and foremost, recognizing that it's a fundamental aspect of your nervous system that doesn't feel safe. It comes down to safety. And the beautiful thing about that is just by shifting your breathing. And yes, I do breath work. I, teach and I practice doing sessions of conscious breath work pranayama, right? And you don't have to do that. If you are shifting your breath to breathe properly, which most people have forgotten how to breathe properly, the first breath goes into your belly comes out, that drops down your diaphragm. This starts to massage your parasympathetic nervous system. That's the first step. Then the second part of the breath, it goes into the ribs and into the chest. Breathing properly is already going to start to shift you at a physiological level. So, what I like to tell people a lot of times is make pauses throughout your day. You do one activity, whatever that is. You're creating something, you're making a post, you're whatever that is, working on a project. When you finish that activity, you stop and you take some nice deep breaths down into your belly.
Yeah, as you tell
Yes.
me, I'm doing
And
that.
what
Yes.
that does is it's going to stimulate that parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest. Now, this is the state where now you can really be in a centered, clear, and powerful. You have clarity of mind, clarity of action. Again, this is proven scientifically from this state. So, the more we bring ourselves into that state, then when we go to work with our money, we are in a state that already we feel safe and not just from our mind. We're not just like telling ourselves, look, there's nothing chasing me, right? I'm sitting here on the couch like I'm clearly safe. It's a physiological felt sense of safety. Then you are working with your money from that felt sense of safety. Taking that a little bit deeper, you can do this when you go to work with your money. When you want to go spend money, when you want to earn money, receive money, bringing your awareness to your breath first, breathing deeply, consciously. Now you'll have the clarity of action to respond to your environment rather than react to your environment. And yeah,
Yeah, that is really.
this kind of breathing
No, go ahead.
also, like I said, it brings us into heart coherence. And, again, this is proven scientifically in that the heart has its own brain. It's called the heart brain. And when we're breathing and we're in that state of the parasympathetic nervous system, we're in the state of our heart. And now our brain and our heart are moving as one. So that means our values, the desires, the things that we really want to create in our life, which come from our heart, are aligned, are in synergy with our mind. And that is very powerful, and how we can utilize our energy to really be in that place that you mentioned, Sue, of like really giving. But you're not just giving because somebody told you that giving is what you should be doing. You're giving because it feels right and it feels safe and it feels good.
Yeah, it is so important, and actually, I really like the point you made that many people have this concept that wealthy means greedy, and I also grew up thinking like that because my parents were just regular government servants, and then I had a long, a distant family basically who were into business, and they were really wealthy, but I saw them doing really unethical things. And I thought my parents are like a middle class, and they are so nice, and they're doing so good to community up to whatever capacity they have. And these people are, they are so wealthy, and they are following so many unethical things. So I had that impression that, if you have a lot of money, that means you tend to do the wrong things, and you tend to do unethical things. Then yeah, you will have affairs, and you do lots of things. And if you are just means basically middle class, then you follow the principles and ethics, and you will have peace of mind. And that is the impression I had. But as I grew up and I got more into spirituality, I realized that it is not the money that decides you are right or wrong. Money just amplifies your true nature. So if you are bad, if you get more money, you will do more bad things. But if you are good, you get more money, you will do good things. So it is totally, it just amplifies your true nature. So it doesn't, yeah, it is not decided by how much money you have. It is whatever you are, you are just showing up. And second thing you mentioned about the parasympathetic system. Now, actually, we have so many stimulants, and most of the time, our system is into sympathetic system. And I don't know, maybe you might be knowing exact number, but I read somewhere that your whole system should be like 80-90% more focused on parasympathetic and maybe like a 10-20 sympathetic. So, what do you want to say about that? Because we have so many stimulants, everything is stimulating us. So, our sympathetic system is always active, and we are doing hardly anything for parasympathetic system. So, what do you want to say
It's
about
so
that?
important. And again, this is where our wealth comes from. So, our wealth doesn't come from our sympathetic nervous system. Our wealth comes from our parasympathetic nervous system. The reason being is because, again, when we are activated in that parasympathetic nervous system, our conscious mind and our subconscious mind are connected. Your subconscious mind is running the show 95% of the time. 95% of the time, you are taking action from your subconscious mind. Most people aren't aware of this, and they're not even aware of the belief structures that they're holding in their subconscious mind. AKA, money is greedy. It's not safe to have money. I need to not spend money. Various deep programming that we have in our subconscious mind. When you're not aware of that, 95% of your life is being created from things you're not even conscious of, right? So in our parasympathetic nervous system, those two are connected. Now you have awareness of, wow, I actually believe that there's just this line drawn in the sand that if I make this much money on this side of the line, I'm a good person. But as soon as I cross that imaginary line, which we all have had this, right? Like Sue, I definitely had this as well. This line, whatever that line is, I'm going to become a bad person, right? That awareness that that belief exists in your subconscious mind becomes becomes apparent to you.
Yeah.
Now you can shift that belief structure, right? This is one reason why wealth is found in our parasympathetic. I'm going to share a second. But when you are aware of the limiting beliefs that are carrying out your actions, then you get to choose the reality that you desire to create. The second thing is that in our parasympathetic, really, we've all heard people talk about the flow state. What is wealth, right? What do we want with wealth? We want wealth to flow, do we not? And really, innate abundance, who we really are, wealth flows because wealth is energy and energy doesn't stop flowing. Energy circulates. Okay. So we want energy to circulate through us. We want wealth to circulate so that we have this continuous supply that we get to receive, enjoy, give, receive, enjoy, give. And that's the flow state. So the flow state, again, this is physiological, not spiritual, is the hybrid state between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. That's one flow state. That's where you are, when athletes speak about hitting that flow state where they're just, wow, like they've hit that point. They're really focused, yet very active. Like their body just came online. They have all this energy, but they're very focused in their mind. That's the hybrid of those two states. So in your business, in your life, you know exactly what action to take. You're taking that action deliberately, concisely, courageously, and your energy is there with you taking the action. The other flow state is between the parasympathetic and the dorsal vagal. That is the freezer fawn. That flow state is our trance like state. So when we go into meditation and we drop the brain waves down, this is a very powerful state where you can receive. The other day I dropped into this state and my whole next business plan dropped in. Like I wasn't even asking for a business plan. I was just dropped into that trance like state, and an entire structure for my business 2025 dropped into my space. I know exactly what I need to do. That's the state of infinite intelligence. That's the state of all the information and also that flow. So, those two flow states, the flow state, being in flow. You cannot truly be in flow if you are not rooted in that parasympathetic, because you're not in a state of relaxation. I love to say, like, if you clench your fist really tightly and you stick this fist under running water, and you take it out and you open up, there will be dry spot in the middle of your fist because the water cannot flow through tension. Energy does not flow through tension of your body, tension of your emotions, tension of your mind. It flows through relaxation. And ultimately, we want to be what I call spiritual kung fu, where we're in that flow state. We're simultaneously relaxed and engaged. That's where wealth loves to flow effortlessly, like the breath.
And relax and engage, I think that is a natural state. But yeah, we just forget to be natural. And I really like what you said about the subconscious mind, 95%. So that really, I remember the analogy I read somewhere that your subconscious mind is like an elephant and your conscious mind is
Yeah.
like an ant, and we are just focusing on just ant, and we are totally forgetting the elephant where we have the infinite intelligence. And that is so true, because I remember the best ideas I get about my life or my business when I am at peace.
Yeah.
So no, initially, yeah, initially when I would go to sauna or hot tub, I would think it is a luxury, and now I realize, yeah, of course it is a luxury, but it is necessity too, because it really makes me more productive. The best ideas come from there. If I'm just into a hamster wheel, nothing happens. My brain is not working, my heart is not working, my emotion is not working, my mind frame is not right, means I'm not even using it, nothing is there. I'm just doing things mechanically, and I'm not using the powers which the God has given to me. It is so good. And I really liked what you mentioned about the line. And that also I heard somewhere that, if people, if they are associating with someone who is just making 100K, and then if they come across with someone who is making more than 100K, they think that person is immoral, because that's the moral line for them. But if you are associating with someone who is making 250K, then if you come across with someone with who is making more than that, they think it is immoral, because it might be because of their insecurity, and maybe some jealousy, envy, I don't know. There might be many factors involved. And so it's better to associate with the infinite, and yeah, love and abundance. Then you don't have this moral line. I really really appreciate it. It was so enlightening. I totally appreciate. I'm a spiritual person, but I studied many religions. And in one of the religions, in our religion, that is Sanatan Dharma, we consider money as a goddess of wealth, and we have given name as Lakshmi. And so I also have many spiritual gurus, and so he mentioned at one point, you should show the same respect for $1 as you would show for $1 million. Because yeah, when you show your respect for the smallest denominator, the goddess knows that you are respecting her, and basically she would come into your life. And that is very hard pill for solopreneurs, small business owners, or entrepreneurs to swallow, because first couple of years they may not even see much revenue coming in, and that's why I have a membership. I always tell them you should celebrate even your smallest possible wins, because it actually creates synergy for you. It is good for your self image, and it is also, you're giving a signal to wealth that okay, you appreciate. And and once you design a system, once you have funnel set or whatever it is, the now it is just a matter of just using the same system, same strategy, but it is just once you respect the small amount, the big amounts will follow. So, what is your opinion about that? Because I work with lots of solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business owners. What can you tell them, or what can you teach them, that what kind of mind frame, what kind of wealth mentality they should have?
I resonate with everything you said, Sue. And I just want to touch on, the teaching of the wealth being the goddess, because to me, that is wealth is a feminine energy. And she's been teaching me all of this. Everything that I've learned has been from wealth and from the mother. And, you know, what we appreciate appreciates. And that was one of the things that money said to me when higher self said, ask money how you showed up. Money said, you don't value me. You don't appreciate me. I never had a really good connection with how much money something was. Nothing really ever felt like a lot to me. It was a very strange thing for me. Like, oh, $500,000, whatever. I don't know. What does that even mean? Right. And so when money said this to me and I started to appreciate every single little bit, both that I receive, right? Every little bit that comes in simultaneously, every little bit that I have, right? The pause between the breaths, the pause between the thoughts is the holding, and appreciating every little bit that I give. Wow, what a difference. And what I like to really do with this
Yeah,
is use the breath. When the money comes in, I take a nice, deep, slow breath in, and I pretend that I'm breathing that in and I'm receiving it deeply into myself. A place of love. Thank you. Thank you. I receive you. Because it's God, it's divinity, it's source resourcing itself to you, right? That's what it is. Source resourcing itself. So I receive it so deeply. And then when I give, I do that as well. Even if I'm at the grocery store, I just really silently to myself, I just intentionally give my love with that money. Thank you, thank you, thank you for letting this energy circulate through me. And I do that when I look at my bank account and whatever amount is in there, I just hold that in my body and thank you, thank you, thank you to source for bringing that resource to me.
oh, yeah, that is so great. That is so important, because when you have abundant of anything, you give. I remember one of my friends, whenever she went to anyone's place, she always carried lemons with her, because her backyard was full of lemons. And so that is what she gave. So, but hey, if you have
Yeah.
more of anything, and especially more of good things, like especially why not money? You give more and you become a giver. So it's totally up to you. And also, you become a part of a solution and not a problem, because when you are a taker, more like you are a part of a problem, and when you are giving, you are a solution. And eh, actually, nobody likes to be part of problem, but still they are choosing by their choice to become, yeah, part of problem, going that side. It is totally up to them. It is their choice, right? So it's up to you. It's your life. You decide what you want to achieve, what you want to achieve in your life. So I wanted to ask you. So how does this tie together with everything? For example, you mentioned about giving, and giving is so important, because I remember one of my relatives passed away, and whenever any family function we had a gift exchange. She would give the cheapest possible gift to other people, and that would like break within a week, or if that gift goes till 1 month, means basically that would be a miracle. And now she passed away, and she has like millions of dollars behind. She didn't carry any of those things up over there, but while giving means that was the mentality. And I said, okay, what I won't judge her, that is her life, her decision. But now I said, what can I learn for me to improve myself in my life? And I started thinking in a different way. Now, for example, I worked with lots of freelancers, and they worked on many of my projects and all. And some of the projects actually I went ahead and I cancelled. But still, one of the freelancers, he messaged me back and he said, so because of your project, I got the funding for my college. So even though I cancelled that project, I really have some kind of deep self satisfaction that okay, I could help him go college. And even though my project is not doing anything, anything actually, like obviously not bringing money or doing anything, because I cancelled that project, but still it did something good in this world, right? Because people have that inherent desire, they want to do something good for world. But many times basically we are just so occupied with our daily living, hardly any time or money left to do something good for the world. So then I was not regretting at all. Okay, I canceled the project, but at least I could help somebody. So I said, okay, that is my relative choice to be stingy in giving. But now I just want to know, when I'm giving, if I'm changing life for better, why not? But sometimes there is a question, because I want to donate no lot of things. And then I was talking to one of my friends. She said, don't go and donate to this charity, because their business model is really bad. If you see, their CEO is driving Mercedes, and why do you want to give your donations to that charity and all? So how can we decide if we want to donate something? How can we find the places to donate? How can we decide where to donate? And yeah, I would like your insight on
To
that.
me, that's really up to your heart. And again, when we come back to the breath, we drop into our heart. Our heart is connected to our soul, and it's connected to so much more information than our mind has. And as humans, we oftentimes think we have to have the answers from the context of our conscious mind, but we don't have to have the answers. When we understand how to come into heart coherence, your heart will give you the answers. And your heart knows more than, that friend that says don't donate to that person, or the heart knows the future, the past, the current moment. The heart knows the infinite intelligence. And when we listen to our heart, there's just this magic that occurs. It happens so often for my clients where they will listen to their heart with regards to their business. And kind of like what you said, Sue, that reflection will just happen of, wow, that was really impactful for somebody, even though the mind may have said, that's not really that important, or well, you shouldn't do that. They followed their heart. And sure enough, it was impactful. So always breathe down into your heart and let your heart guide you, understanding that it's that intelligence beyond your conscious mind. And again, it always comes down to your breath, because wealth is the art of exchange. That's it. And it comes down to the quality of that exchange. What is the quality of your receiving, your inhalation? The quality of that inhaling of your breath. Does it go deep into your body? Is it shallow? Is it tense? Is it open and receptive? because it'll be the same. Your ability to receive wealth and the quality of your inhalation will match. It even changes for me sometimes when certain things come up in my life that trigger my body. Oh, yep, there's my breath. It's shallow and tight again. So I'll open it back up. And it's amazing the immediate response the universe gives me. Same thing with the giving, right? It's that exhale, its ability to let go, right? To let go of energy through you, to give, to let it go from your heart, and the pause between the breaths, being present to that exchange. And that crosses over to, yeah, when you want to donate money, breathing into that space, listening to your heart, then connecting with your conscious mind, connecting to that place that you want to give that money to, right? And being present with that act of giving. So it's not just, you're just not giving numbers. You're not just giving money, you're giving your love, you're giving your presence. That's what's going to make radical impact. How would the world change if everybody was very present to this fundamental act of exchange and the wisdom of wealth?
Actually, spirituality and quantum physics means basically you can use them
Yes.
interchangeably, because we always have these discussions, and I always say spirituality, and my husband is more like a technical mind, so he
Mm.
says quantum physics. But the more and more we study about these areas, we realize it is the same. And I remember when I was bedridden, I started my day watching the movie Secret every day, because I couldn't walk, I couldn't drive. So spiritual, and that movie talks a lot about quantum physics and lots of laws of attraction and many other things, and that really changed my life and perspective. But many times people have this impression that spirituality or quantum physics means basically it is more like you should abandon everything and you should go into jungle or forest. You shouldn't own anything. And in my opinion, I always say spirituality is very easy if you go to jungle and forest and live on your own, because you don't have to deal with unexpected or any different kinds of people and situations and all. Then it is very easy, and it is really hard to follow this principle. Not very hard, but means it really tests your patience and your frame of mind when you are dealing with people, and that at that time are you applying all these spiritual principles. For example, I was telling somebody the most used sentence for me in my business is the Jesus's last sentence: God, please forgive them, they don't know what they are doing. Because when you are dealing with difficult people and they try to put you down, at that time it is the most important thing is to save your conscience and move away from them. So that is the most used sentence actually in my life. So I want to tell people that okay, spirituality doesn't mean you abandon everything, but only thing you don't be attached, means you let it flow, as you say, the energy should flow. So what would you tell that people who have that impression that spirituality means we shouldn't make any money, or we shouldn't be wealthy, or if we make money we'll be greedy? So you tell me, how can we really go hand in hand, spirituality and entrepreneurship? Because those are the two really near and dear to my heart, these topics, spirituality and entrepreneurship. I'm also writing some books based on that, how to combine spirituality and entrepreneurship, and based on Bhagavad Gita, that is a religious book in Sanatana Dharma. So I want to know your opinion. How can anyone combine spirituality and entrepreneurship, or how can someone have wealth principles in their life based on quantum physics?
Such a great question, Sue. And I struggled with this a lot myself initially. When I came into spirituality, that was part of my understanding was, it's to not want, it's to not be attached to material items. It's to, really surrender ourselves to God. And so I would tell myself, it's not about the money. It's not about, I don't want to make money. I just want to be spiritual. And then the truth was that my internal desire, not my ego want, but my desires from my heart, from my soul, were to be wealthy and to teach wealth. And I would push and pull and push and pull on this subject within myself. One time I'd be like, oh no, I have to give it all away and I have to just give it all to God. And then the next minute I'd be like, but I feel very strongly within me that that's not truth, that we're able to live spiritually and be wealthy. No, 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 I can't do that. And it was this push and pull within myself. And until I came to the realization that our desires, which is what it was coming from deep within me. When I was a little girl, I had visions of myself being wealthy before I even really understood what that meant. This wasn't just something that my ego wanted, it was part of my journey. And when I said yes to that, when I finally kind of sank into that and said, you know what, I'm going to follow this feeling that's so strong within me, I was shown how, wealth is God. Again, it is resource. It is source circulating. So when we deny wealth, we're denying ourselves a deeper connection, intimacy to God. And again, you get to choose. You get to choose if you create money and you are deeply connected to source and your own heart and values, and you bring forth, right, money in a space of love and impact and compassion and the intention to serve humanity. That is your choice. And, you can also, just like you could apples, somebody goes and takes all the apples and they hoard them. You could do the same thing with money. You could do the same thing with any resource on the planet. That's your choice. But understanding that it all is source. It's not separate from source. We define again that relationship, the fundamental relationship and the exchange of relationships. So that's why I say, when you brought up the goddess, when I receive source into my body, like, oh my gosh, this is source coming into me. And, I do that when I'm talking to people, when I'm receiving client information and they're telling me their story, I'm receiving that as source deeply within inside of me. It's not separate. Nothing is fundamentally separate. Nothing can be separate from creation. It wouldn't exist if it was separate from creation. So, we don't have to make it separate. And the more that we connect into it, the more intimate we are with it, the more we can make it be about love. We can make it be about impact, about changing the world through our internal values and our decisions. And how quantum mechanics and quantum physics comes into this is, everything is present in the here and now, right? In the quantum field, all is here. And when you take on the observer, right? And this is again quantum physics, when you see your reality through a particular perspective, you collapse the quantum field, you collapse all that is potential down into that perspective. So if you see money as not spiritual, as not God, as greedy, to some degree, you are going to experience it as such, because that is the belief that you are collapsing the infinite field down into your experience through the observer effect. Simultaneously, you get to choose the other way. That's your choice. And through your choice and the power of the observer, you create what you experience.
Yeah, it's absolutely right, because you create your reality, because you are giving signals to universe. And universe just means basically it is like a fertile ground You are putting the seed in universe, and universe gives you back exactly the same whatever seed you are putting over there. That's so right. And I really like what you said about the exchange of energy, because that was really hard for me, because what happened when I recovered, I got a bonus life. I just wanted to give away everything I
Yeah.
have for free. And I said, okay, I will help solopreneurs, I will give everything for free. So I started blogging, and I thought, okay, I'm giving the free resources and all. And I kept on giving free, and then I realized when you receive free, people may not even appreciate, or they may just, okay, they think, okay, they got it for free, so they shelf it, and okay, I will look at it later. But when there is an exchange, some kind of energy exchange, yeah, when you pay your resources, when you pay money, you pay attention, and then you take action, and then you will see the results. This is so important, because energy has to keep on flowing. Really, really appreciate. And I went on your website, and I um, did the evaluation. So will you please tell us more about that? Means, if someone wants to know where they stand and what action they can take ahead, will you please tell us more about what kind of evaluation do you have on your website? Because I went through that, and it was really eye-opening for me. But I want to hear from
Yes.
you.
So the quiz that I have there is really about helping us to draw that awareness, right? See where are you really functioning from that place of heart coherence? Are you really pausing, listening to that inner guidance, taking action on that inner guidance? The inner guidance, the heart coherence, that is where the wealth is going to flow. It's so ironic. When I speak to people, they already have the messages. I validate their messages because I'm psychic, but they've already heard what I tell them. They're just not listening, right? They're not taking action on it. So the quiz is really about showing you, are you really functioning from this place of responding, creating your business, or are you functioning from a place that is listening to outside sources, perhaps grasping, perhaps grinding, perhaps really pushing and analyzing up in the mind, and that may or may not create wealth. It's kind of like a crapshoot whether that happens to align to wealth or not. Whereas it's guaranteed when you are aligned to your heart and you're listening to that inner guidance and you continuously follow it, you will create the wealth because it naturally aligns you to that flow. So that quiz really helps draw your awareness to where are you on that scale.
Yeah, and what if my result is not perfect? Yeah, so what action we can take next, because we want to have the better results. So how can you guide us?
Again, the pause. I can't emphasize the pause enough, right? Because the pause is the space between the breath. The pause is the space between the thought. The pause is the isness, the beingness, the existence of creation that is before duality, movement comes in, right? So the pause of breath before the inhalation and then the exhalation, then you pause. That pause is significant to understanding deeper awareness of what is going to serve your business. Because guess what? You're unique. Your business is unique. This is not about cookie cutter. Yes, you need strategy. Yes, you need systems. But what is going to work for your business in this moment is unique to you. And when we pause, we connect to that information. So that's what I was saying earlier, where the other day I just sat down. I was about to go to, I sat down in front of my computer and I just paused. I just sat there, breathing consciously, being, and boof, something I wasn't even asking for, dropped in the entire roadmap. Bringing that pause into your day as much as possible. It takes 2 seconds. Take 3 deep breaths. Pause long enough for 3 deep breaths. I guarantee if you do this throughout your day, you will start to see a significant change to your connection to that inner knowing, that inner intelligence. And you'll also be able, because you're starting to activate more of the parasympathetic, you'll be able to take action from that state rather than all of the, chaos, the analytics, the stress state.
So important, and it is not even known. Forget overlooked, because people don't even know it. If you meditate, you you know how to create pause. A pause is so important, because if you create pause in your life, you will stop reacting, and then you will respond. Because most of the problems are happening on this earth, or even relationships and all. It's because we are listening to react, and we are not really listening to means basically listen, and then respond. And then reaction means it is coming from sympathetic mind. And I think most of the problems will be solved when if people put pause into their daily routine. And it has to be initially start it has to start with the conscious mind. And once it becomes part of your daily living, it's a daily breathing, your life will be totally transformed. It is so important. It is really means it's a very. And I actually wanted to ask many more questions. We are just running out of time. I think I should go for the second episode, because these topics are really means it's really like infinite education, infinite intelligence. But if someone wants to follow you, or someone wants to find you, where can they look for you? Which are the channels? And of course, your website. So, will you please tell us where can they find you, and what offers do you have? How can you
Absolutely.
help
So my
them?
website is alarasage.com. That's where the quiz is. And I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, all at Alara Sage. I'm the only Alara Sage that I'm aware of. And I offer I have a group mastermind, where we are connected to these deeper teachings and we're meeting regularly. I'm supporting people directly with how to apply these teachings to their life. I have one-off sessions where we can address something, a barrier in your business, and really create a wealth breakthrough. So those one-off sessions where, I'm tapping in psychically to your energy, to your business, recognizing where the barriers are, where the wealth doesn't flow, and where the wealth is flowing. This sometimes is just a tiny little tweak that can just make the wealth start flowing. It happens so much with my clients, just these little tweaks. That's a one off session. And then I do work with people one on one in more intimate containers where we're really transforming you at this level to have this relationship with wealth inside of yourself, and that you are creating this wealth, as I say, as effortlessly as breathing in your life, and helping others create it as well, just simply through that inspiration and through you being that version of yourself.
Generally, at this point, I tell my guests that okay, I'm done asking all the questions I wanted to ask. But in your case, I'm really not done asking all the questions I wanted to ask you. So I may go for the second episode. But at this point, if you want to give any parting message to our audience, yeah, please do so.
Wealth is innate in our being. We hear this often. We're naturally abundant, but why don't we experience it? Abundance is everywhere, but how many people are experiencing this abundance? It comes down to this fundamental relationship with the breath, that inner connection. And I can guarantee you, if you take these words and you start to apply them, you will see results. You will start to experience that innate space of abundance in your life.
Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate you coming as a guest on our New Beginning Inspiration for You podcast and blessing our family, blessing our community. Really appreciate, and I would love to connect with you and get more guidance. And I know, pretty sure our listeners will do that too. Thank you, and God bless
Thank
you.
you, Sue.
Really, thank you.
Hey, thanks for joining us. We are blessed to have you as part of our community, and whatever way we can help you, serve you, let us know. Please subscribe and let us know how we can help you, what resources you want. We have lots of free resources and also free collaboration joint venture groups you can join and explode your business, because most solopreneurs quit their business before they launch their first products, and I don't want that to happen to you. And that's why we have special launch service where you can monetize your digitals and become profitable as fast as within 7 days. And if you want to scale your business, join our membership New Beginning Success Collaboration, where we'll provide you MRR and PLR products and collaborations so that you can scale your business with ease and effortlessly. And hey, if you want to sell your digitals all over the world, yes, we will provide you affiliates more than 200 countries. So everything is possible. Just live your dream, follow your dream, and whichever way we can help you, do let us know. Thank you and God bless you.